Coming up on this afternoon edition of the Cowboys Report, we'll discuss Stephon Jones saying, hey, Cowboys actually might need some cornerback help. And that directly ties into potentially signing Stephon Gilmore and the latest updates, multiple of them, on the Micah Parsons front. Before we dive into that, the Micah decision pool is still ongoing. You pick the date Micah gets signed or gets traded. You Venmo me at WhatGoingDowny, $5 to enter. We'll do a 50-50 split the pot for the winner. By the way, all but, I'm doing this right now, 1, 2, 3 people are actually out because their dates have already passed. So you got a great shot to actually win. The take home right now, the next person who enters will bump it up to $30. So at WhatGoingDowny on Venmo, $5 with the date you think Micah gets signed or gets traded. Closest one ends up winning. Let's go to what Stephon Jones had to say. This one kind of buried coming in before the first game of the preseason, which, as we'll get into, I don't think at least didn't make me feel any better about the cornerback room. He mentioned 2 areas of concern, defensive tackle and corner. And specifically corner stood out with the way he said that, saying, look, the corner position, only because you look at what's on injured reserve. We got 3 corners over there, mentioning Diggs, Butler, and Revel. With them not ready to go yet, you certainly think about improving there if we get an opportunity. The Cowboys right now, I did the clip of Davante Adams cooking the Cowboys. People were like, it's the third stringers he's beating. Which is my point. Because right now, those are not your third stringers. Hopefully, Trayvon Diggs is back soon, but that's unknown. I don't think Stephon Revel's going to be good to go for week 1. We'll see about Josh Butler. Right now, you have to start one of Izzy Mukuamu, Andrew Booth, Troy Pride, Kamon Hall, or Zion Childress probably. Robert Rochelle nursing a hamstring injury too now. Your corners, I don't think played great against the Rams. Kamon Hall did a couple okay things in run support, but he also, I don't think, took the best angles, and he allowed every single target his way in coverage to be completed per PFF stats. Andrew Booth got beat one time deep downfield, was mostly fine beyond that, but, one bad play out of 2 essentially targets is kind of rough. Robert Rochelle wasn't playing great before he tweaked his hamstring. Zion Childress was solid in the nickel, but who here wants to bank on an undrafted free agent from a crappy defense at Kentucky to be a key part of your team? I don't want that to be the case. I thought Israel Mukuamu played super well. I want him to be the next man up, but they don't seem to be as high on him. And Troy Pride's a journeyman. Like, right now, 2 of your starters, you're going to play 3, are Kyer Elam and DaRon Bland. That third starter, hopefully it's short term, but injuries also happen, is unknown. So yeah, that room has me worried. I am concerned when I look at the reality of the second string corners / first string other starting corner isn't healthy. Kalen Carson's also banged it too. I forgot to mention that. And he's not trust him either. I don't know how you look at this quarterback room and go, yeah, we're fine. Like, I don't think you are. I would love to see them do something. So do you agree? Do you think the Cowboys need another corner? 1 for yes, 0 for no. This is the pinned comment, by the way, on today's show. So head down there and go vote. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Stephon Gilmore, I think, is the most obvious choice then. Mike Hilton's off the board. He would have been a good fit at nickel. You can go like a Kendall Fuller. Asante Samuel, I don't think is healthy with the next injury. I know what Gilmore is. He's a stopgap. He's a short-term option. He is not a 2026 solution. I don't need him to be. As long as he's on board, potentially kind of getting phased out of the defense, which, maybe that is the main issue, go call. I think Gilmore makes a lot of sense. He's a name we know, and he's a name the Cowboys know. He's got that familiarity with the organization, with the team. They know who he is. I don't think the value is crazy high right now for Stephon Gilmore. He's old. He was good last year, fine last year. Does the job the Cowboys need right now, but he's not going to get better. He's on the decline. Not steeply, but he is on the decline. But you know that going in. In theory, all the medical stuff checks out. Do I want him going one-on-one week 1 against Devonta Smith on the outside downfield? Not really, but I would rather put him out there against like A.J. Brown, for example, than I want to put out Kamon Hall in the nickel. I think Gilmore offers you more right now. So would you sign him? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in that comment section of today's show. Would you go out and pursue Stephon Gilmore? Y for yes, N for no in that comment section of today's video. And by the way, assume the money is reasonable for this one. Let's go to the Micah Parsons latest. Sean Sharif reported, that's 105 through the fan, Sean Sharif, that Micah had met with Jerry for 4+ hours. He said he was unsure if David Mulugeta was involved remotely because he wasn't in person for that one. And I'll give Sean credit for this when he discussed it on the show. He mentioned Jane Slater had reached out and said, 4 people told me that was inaccurate. And then Brian Broad reached out and said, people told me that was inaccurate. And Bobby said Bobby Elder said he'd heard that it probably wasn't accurate either. And since then, no one else has picked up on that. Now, I'll give Sean credit here. He was the first one right on the Brian Schottenheimer stuff. He was ahead of the curve on that front, and he said it was the same source. So, noteworthy as far as I'm concerned. Also, 2 conspiracy theories here, which I think are fun and actually are worth mentioning, with this whole conversation as to whether or not the 4-hour meeting happened. Look, it's been several days. They clearly didn't get a deal done. But first up is this. They can't admit it. Even if everything was true, both sides would actually want to say it didn't happen because they already did the secret meeting thing once, and it went terribly for both sides. Micah's camp doesn't want to admit it, especially the agent not present, and it kind of becomes like if you are talking with the police and you ask for a lawyer, you have to stop everything. Well, Cowboys didn't stop everything again. Cowboys probably don't want to admit it because it's like giving up some leverage. You actually probably would want to keep it quiet. The Cowboys are bad at keeping things quiet, though. The Micah meeting leaves within 48 hours the first time. So, who's to say? Also, relevant timing, the Netflix documentary about the Jerry Jones Cowboys drops August 19th. The cynical a-hole in me wants to bring up the fact that, boy, wouldn't Jerry want to have more positive momentum his way right when that documentary drops? And remember when they paid Zeke, and that morning Jerry Jones was going out to New York, I think it was to ring the bell for the stock exchange? I remember stuff like that. Just throwing that out there. It's not a guarantee, but I think it's at least worth having a conversation about, given how the Cowboys foolishly operate. This Cowboys hoodie is on sale. It was $55. Now it's just $33. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's chatsports.com/DAL hoodie. On sale. I don't know how long the sale is going to last, so get yours today. Chatsports.com/DAL hoodie. Now, you had the Sean Sharif update. This is the Adam Schefter. I might put update in air quotes, frankly. He said there's no real updates on the Micah Parsons contract front, saying, quote, he issued his trade request roughly 10 days ago. This is on Get Up, and he said very similar stuff on the Pat McAfee show. He issued his trade request roughly 10 days ago. There has been nothing that has transpired on a new contract since then. Nothing. Schefter also continued to say there's no deal in sight. They were closer than they were back in April, which, again, he said before. The rest of it was predominantly the same stuff because, well, if nothing has transpired, how can there be an update, right? The lack of an update is the update in this case. He re-hit some of the same previous ideas that have been discussed, that the Cowboys aren't going to trade him. They've got 2 franchise tags as an option. The third one becomes impossible to afford. If he's going to play week 1, which I would be shocked if Micah skipped game checks. He's still supporting his boy Sam Williams on social media. I don't really think skipping week 1 is in the cards. And if it were to be, I'd actually call his bluff if I were the Cowboys. But that's how it goes. So what eventually ends up happening? A couple more thoughts on this one to come. What will the Cowboys do with Micah Parsons? T for they're going to trade him. K for they will keep him. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. In the end, I think this Micah Parsons saga turns out the exact same way we've seen all the other big-time contracts play out. Cowboys eventually get the deal done, and they get it done later than they ever needed to, should have, could have, etc. Until that doesn't happen on a big-time contract, until they actually stand their ground and don't cave on one of these top-of-the-market players that they actually do want to keep. They let DeMarco Murray and Byron Jones leave, but if they don't eventually, they always cave for Zeke. Dak and Amari the first time around, and Micah Parsons, all that stuff. If they actually don't cave on that, okay, different conversation. But until that happens, I think it's more of the same old business strategy, which is a bad strategy. Make no mistake, this has been another failure by the Dallas Cowboys, by the organization. It hasn't been good enough. It frustrates me. It bothers me. It annoys me that we're doing the same song and dance all over again. But until it actually ends differently, why would I think it's not going to end the exact same way it has before?